I poisoned the punch at my sister's wedding rehearsal dinner. Not with arsenic, but with the kind of truth serum that shatters illusions and leaves everyone choking on their own lies. It wasn't about the dress or the drama. It was payback for the night 5 years ago when they let me rot in a county jail cell for a crime that wasn't mine. All because family comes first, except when it's me. And as the first guests started gagging on their secrets, I realized stopping this farce of a marriage might just be the revenge that sets us all free. Or damns us forever. The envelope burned in my hand like a live grenade as I slipped into the back of the grand ballroom at the Four Seasons in downtown Chicago. It was the kind of place where trust fund kids tie the knot under crystal chandeliers that cost more than my entire existence. And tonight, my older sister Lila was about to become Mrs. Ethan Hargrove III, old money, old sins, and all. My family had drilled it into me since breakfast. Ellie, don't you dare make a scene. This is Lila's day. Keep your mouth shut. Smile pretty. And remember what family means. What they really meant was bury the past deeper than the body we never found. I'd flown in from Seattle 2 days ago, trading my barista gig and shoebox apartment for this powder keg of pretense. Mom had cornered me in the hotel lobby, her Botox-smooth forehead creasing just enough to show she was serious. Ellie, honey, we've all moved on. That incident was a lifetime ago. Lila's finally happy. Don't drag us back. Dad nodded from his armchair, nursing a scotch, his eyes flicking to the door like he expected the cops to burst in any second. My little brother, Jake, the golden child who'd skated through life on charm and connections, just texted me, "Please don't fuck this up, sis." Lila's fragile. Fragile. That's rich. Coming from the woman who'd framed me for embezzlement to cover her own affair-fueled spending spree. It started 5 years back, in the sticky summer of 2020, when the world was on fire with protests and pandemics, and our family's real estate empire was crumbling under Dad's bad bets on luxury condos no one could afford. Lila was the vice president then, 28 and ruthless, dating a string of Wall Street wolves while siphoning company funds for her personal investments, which translated to Birkin bags and weekend getaways with married men. I was 24, fresh out of community college with a business degree that felt like a participation trophy, handling the books as her assistant because, hey, nepotism's the family business. One night, after a board meeting gone south, Lila stormed into my cubicle at the Loop office, her Louboutins clicking like gunfire. Ellie, I need you to do something for me. Her voice was honey over razor blades. She slid a USB drive across the desk. Just adjust these transfers. Make it look like a vendor error. It's temporary. Dad'll never know. I should have said no. God, I should have. But she was my big sister. The one who'd braided my hair before school dances. The one who promised we'd conquer Chicago together. And family sticks together. Right? Wrong. The adjustments ballooned into 6 figures. And when the auditors came calling, Lila pointed the finger at me. It was Ellie. She's always been jealous. I caught her once, skimming for rent money. The betrayal hit like a freight train. Dad believed her. His princess couldn't do wrong. Mom cried crocodile tears at the kitchen table, whispering, "We have to protect the company. Ellie, think of your future." Jake, he ghosted me for weeks, then showed up at the courthouse with a half-assed apology. Lila stressed. "Mon. Cut her slack. I did 18 months in Logan Correctional Center. A women's lockup south of the city where the days blurred into gray concrete and the nights into whispers of horrors and regrets. I learned to forge signatures better than any con artist. Picked up basic coding from a cellmate doing time for hacking. And above all, I learned to hate quietly. The family visited once. En masse. Like a photo op. Lila brought lilies, your favorite, and a promise. We'll make it right when you get out. They didn't. I got paroled early for good behavior. Slunk back to Seattle under a new name. Ellie Harper instead of Eleanor Voss. And rebuilt from scratch. Barista by day. Freelance bookkeeper by night. Scraping by on ramen and rage.
Now,
Here I was, back in the lion's den, wearing a seafoam bridesmaid dress that itched like guilt. The rehearsal dinner was in full swing, string quartet sawing at Vivaldi. Waiters in crisp whites gliding with trays of caviar blinis and Veuve Cliquot. Ethan Hargrove 3, tall, blonde, with the kind of jawline that screams yacht clubs and insider trading, held court at the head table, his hand possessively on Lila's thigh. She looked radiant, 40 pounds lighter and a shade blonder, her gown a cascade of silk that screamed, "I deserve this." Our eyes met across the room, and she smiled that tight, warning curl of lips. Be good, little sister. I wasn't. The envelope in my purse held printouts from a private investigator I'd hired with 6 months of tips, bank records, emails, texts. Proof that Lila hadn't stopped at framing me. She'd been bleeding the company dry for years, now laundering it through Ethan's hedge fund. And the kicker? Ethan knew. Their whirlwind romance was a merger of mutual destruction, him dodging SEC probes, her dodging alimony from husband number 2. The wedding wasn't love, it was a lifeboat for crooks. As the best man droned on about eternal bonds, I circulated with a dessert tray, playing the dutiful sister. Jake sidled up, clapping my shoulder too hard. You look recovered. Therapy helping. He was a junior associate at Dad's firm now. All Brooks Brothers and blinders.
yeah, Jake.
Therapy's great for unpacking why your sister's a sociopath. He laughed it off, but his eyes darted. Paranoia was our family heirloom. The punch bowl sat on a sideboard, crystal and innocent, spiked with elderflower liqueur for the dry guests. I waited until the toasts peaked, Dad raising his glass to new beginnings, then palmed a vial from my clutch. Not poison, like I said. Just a mild sedative I'd scored off a dark web contact. The kind that loosens tongues without knocking you out. 2 drops per ladle. And by the cake cutting, the room would be a confessional. First victim, Aunt Marjorie, the gossipy widow who'd sent me hate mail in prison. She slurped her punch, then cornered Mom by the florals. Caroline, did you hear about Lila's little vacation last month? With that trainer from Equinox? I saw the photos on Insta, scandalous. Mom flushed, swatting it away. But the seed was planted. Next, Ethan's frat brother, sloshed already, who pulled Lila aside and slurred. Babe, that offshore account, did you move the funds like we talked? IRS is sniffing. Her laugh was a shard of ice. Sho, darling. Later, I watched from the shadows, heart hammering like a jackhammer on Lakeshore Drive. This wasn't just revenge, it was excavation. The family's secret we'd buried, the real reason Dad's empire teetered, was Lila's affair with our uncle. Years back, that ended in a hushed payout and her promotion. I'd taken the fall not just for the books, but to silence whispers that could topple us all. They made me the villain so they could play saints. By the time the quartet struck up the first dance, the air thickened with half-spoken truths. Jake cornered me in the powder room hallway. "What the hell did you do?" Marjorie's grilling Dad about that old settlement. I shrugged, feigning innocence. "Karma's a bitch. Little bro. Or maybe it's just punch." His face twisted. Fear. Not anger. For the first time, I saw the crack in his armor. He knew. They'd all known. The night unraveled like a cheap sweater. Ethan, sweating through his cummerbund, argued with his father in the coat check, something about fiduciary breaches. Lila shot me daggers from across the room, her makeup cracking like fault lines. And me, I sipped water, steady as a surgeon, waiting for the real surgery to begin. The morning after the rehearsal, Chicago woke to a gray drizzle that mirrored the sludge in my veins. My phone buzzed incessantly on the nightstand of my comped hotel room, texts from unknown numbers, voicemails I didn't dare play. Lila's last message. Timestamped 2:17 a.m. You fucking cunt. Meet me at the spa.
Now.
I deleted it. Ordered room service, black coffee, no sugar, and stared at the skyline, wondering if jumping would feel like absolution or just another bad decision. I showed up anyway, because cowards don't get revenge, they get footnotes. The spa at the Four Seasons was a sanctuary of steam and serenity, all marble and eucalyptus, where the elite went to sweat out their sins. Lila waited in a private sauna, wrapped in a towel that cost more than my rent, her skin flushed pink from the heat. No makeup today. She looked raw, human almost. "Ellie," she hissed as I stripped down and joined her on the cedar bench. The door clicked shut, sealing us in 100 degrees of hell. "What was that last night? You think you're clever?" I leaned back, letting the sweat bead on my forehead like tears I wouldn't shed. "Clever?
Nah.
Just honest. That punch was nothing compared to what you served me for breakfast 5 years ago." Her eyes narrowed. The schemer surfacing, the woman who'd once convinced our parish priest she was praying when she was really palming Vicodin from the collection plate. Lila had always been the chameleon, dutiful daughter to mom, wild child to dad, my protector until she wasn't. Water under the bridge.
El.
I said I'd make it right. She reached for a water bottle, but her hand trembled. The sedative's aftereffects. Or maybe guilt finally catching up. Ethan's family, they're connected. You stir this pot, we all drown. I laughed, a bark that echoed off the wood. Connected? Like how you connected me to that felony. Or how you connected Uncle Ray's dick to your bank account. Her flinch was visceral. A crack in the facade. The uncle thing, that was the buried bomb. 15 years ago, when I was 9 and she was 13, Lila caught Uncle Ray, Dad's brother, in the guest room with the housekeeper. Instead of screaming, she blackmailed him. Small at first, extra allowance. A new bike. Then bigger, tuition. A car. Seed money for her side hustle. When Ray balked, she leaked just enough to the family chat to force a settlement. Dad covered it up, calling it business differences, and promoted her to cover the hush money. I'd found out in prison, piecing it from letters Ray sent, anonymous, typed, pleading for me to understand it wasn't always her. He died of a heart attack 6 months into my sentence, leaving a note in his will. To Eleanor, truth is heavier than bars. That's when I started digging. Post-release. Hiring that PI with tips from late-night shifts at the coffee shop. The envelope last night was just the appetizer. The main course waited in my laptop, encrypted and ready to drop. Lila leaned forward, voice dropping to that conspiratorial whisper she'd used to lure me into the fraud. Listen, I get it. You're angry. But Ethan's not like the others.
He's
Stable. And if this wedding goes south, it's not just me. It tanks Dad's legacy. The firm's on the brink again. Post-divorce, for me. Bad investments for him. You want to be the girl who killed the family twice. Twist of the knife. She knew my weakness, loyalty, that stubborn weed that kept me from cutting ties. But I'd pruned it down to spite. Stable? The man's dodging fraud charges with your dirty money. I saw the emails. Lila. Darling. Wire the Cayman account by Friday or we're both sunk. Romantic. Her face hardened, flipping from supplicant to serpent. You hacked us?
Jesus.
Ellie, you're as crooked as they say. Gaslight. The family special. But then her shoulders sagged, and for a split second, I saw the girl who'd shared secrets under the covers during thunderstorms. Okay.
Fine.
I'll confess to the board.
Partial. Anyway.
You get a payout enough for a real start. But call off the dogs. For Jake's sake. He's clean in this.
Jake.
The wild card. My little brother, 22 now, with his poli-sci degree and intern gig, dreaming of DC. Politics. He'd been the one to visit me most in prison, smuggling in contraband books and bad jokes. But he'd known about Lila's schemes, overheard. He claimed and stayed silent. Family first, he'd say, echoing Dad.
Was he in on it?
Or just another pawn? I need time, I said, standing, the heat making my head swim. Wedding's tomorrow. Let's not ruin the photos. She nodded, relief flickering. But as I dressed in the lounge, my phone lit up, a text from Jake. Lila told me. Please, Ellie. Meet me at the pier. 8 p.m. Don't do anything stupid. The afternoon blurred into prep, final fittings, where the seamstress clucked over my weight gain like it was a federal offense, a tense family brunch at the Gauge, where Dad avoided my eyes and Mom force-fed me mimosas. By evening, the city lights smeared gold on Lake Michigan as I drove my rental Prius to Navy Pier. The tourist trap turned confessional booth. Jake waited by the Ferris wheel, hands shoved in his coat pockets, looking every bit the Kennedy knockoff he idolized. Sis, he started, pulling me into a hug that smelled of axe and anxiety. Lila's spiraling. Ethan's pissed, threatened to bail. We walked the boardwalk, the wind whipping off the water, carrying faint calls from Ferris riders. She says you'll drop it if we compensate you. Compensate. I spat the word. Like I'm a hooker, you stiffed.
He winced.
That's not, look. I know I should have spoken up back then. I was a kid. Scared shitless. Dad made it clear. Snitch on Lila. And you're out. The prodigal son defense. But then he dropped the bomb. There's more. Ellie. The real secret.
It's not just the money.
Remember Mom's cancer scare last year? The experimental treatment that drained the accounts. I stopped cold. The pier lights haloing his face. Mom's scare had been the excuse for another bailout, Lila wiring funds from the company slush fund. What about it? It wasn't cancer. It was debt. To raise estate. When he died, his widow sued, quietly, for the blackmail payouts. Lila settled it with company cash. But she forged your signature on the release forms. Post-prison. Said it was tying up loose and so you wouldn't get dragged back in. Rage boiled up. Hot and immediate. She'd used me again. A ghost to sign away ghosts. And you knew. Found out last month. Confronted her. She flipped, said she'd tell Ethan I was the one dipping into petty cash for poker nights. His eyes pleaded. Help me stop this. Ellie. The wedding's a trap. Ethan's using her to launder his messes. And once they're hitched, she'll be broke and broken. We expose it together, quietly.
No caps. No headlines.
For a moment, I wavered. The old Ellie, the one who fixed everyone's messes, stirred. But then I remembered the cell door clanging shut. Lila's lilies, wilting on the visitor table. Too late.
Jake.
The punch was just foreplay. He grabbed my arm, desperation etching lines on his boyish face. What did you do? I pulled free, the envelope's weight phantom in my pocket. I invited the truth to the party. Tomorrow, during vows. It'll RSVP. As I drove back, rain sluicing the windshield, doubt crept in. Was this revenge or ruin? Lila's flip-flops. Jake's half-confessions. It was all quicksand. But the wedding loomed, a cathedral of lies. And I was the uninvited demon come to dance. Wedding day dawned with the kind of brittle sunshine that promises nothing but highlights the cracks. St. James Cathedral on the Magnificent Mile buzzed with Chicago elite, aldermen in morning coats, socialites in Easter egg pastels, paparazzi cordoned behind velvet ropes. I stood in the bridal suite at the Palmer House, a relic of Gilded Age grandeur, watching Lila transform under the makeup artist's brush. She caught my reflection in the mirror, our eyes locking, hers defiant, mine a storm. You look beautiful, I said, meaning it despite everything. The Vera Wang gown hugged her like a second skin, lace illusions veiling the scars we shared. Mom fussed with the veil, tears glistening. My girls. Finally whole. Whole. As if prison hadn't hollowed me. As if betrayal was a band-aid away from healing. The ceremony was scripted perfection, Pachelbel's cannon swelling as Lila glided down the aisle on Dad's arm, Ethan beaming like he'd won the lottery. I followed as maid of honor. The seafoam dress now a shroud, the bouquet of white peonies heavy as evidence. Jake, groomsman sharp in gray wool, shot me a nod, we're in this, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. The pews murmured approval. Oblivious to the powder keg I cradled in my bouquet, a tiny recorder, synced to my phone, primed to broadcast. Father O'Malley, the same priest from our confirmations, intone the vows with practiced gravitas. Ethan, do you take Lila? I tuned it out, scanning the crowd. There, second row, Ethan's father, Harlan Hargrove, the silver fox who'd built a fortune on 80s junk bonds and aughts bailouts. His eyes were on me, sharp as a hawk's. Did he know? My PI had flagged him. Whispers of complicity in Ethan's schemes. A nod from the old guard to keep the bloodline clean. As the rings exchanged, platinum bands etched with forever and fidelity, I felt the flip. Lila's hand trembled on the stemware during the unity candle, and she whispered to Ethan, audible only to me, tell her to stand down, or I walk. Him
Or me.
Ethan glanced my way, his smile a veneer over venom. She's bluffing. Baby, trust me. The kiss sealed it. Chaste. Posed for the photographer. Flashbulbs popping like gunfire. Applause thundered. But I slipped the recorder's trigger under my sleeve, A Bluetooth fob that would pipe the audio from last night's hidden mic in the hotel suite straight to the AV system. Lila had raged to Ethan post-rehearsal. Ellie's got the files. We burn them. Or we bolt. His reply, let her try. My lawyers eat sisters for lunch. But I wasn't aiming for lunch. As the recessional played, Ode to Joy, ironic as hell, I hit play. The cathedral's speakers crackled, then boomed with Lila's voice, forged her signature.
Ethan.
Ellie's out of it clean. Gasps rippled through the nave. Head swiveled. Harlan Hargrove half rose. Face ashen. Ethan froze mid-aisle, turning to the altar like it had grown fangs. Lila's veil caught the light as she whipped around, eyes locking on mine across the flowers. You bitch, she mouthed. But the audio rolled on, Ethan's low growl. Good. My SEC guys got her parole officer on speed dial. One word. She's back inside. Chaos bloomed. Mom fainted into Dad's arms, real or performative. Who knew? As Usher scrambled for the sound booth. Jake lunged toward me, but I sidestepped. Bouquet tumbling petals like confetti from hell. Ellie, stop, he hissed, grabbing my wrist. This isn't you, isn't it? I yanked free, voice steady amid the uproar. You all made me this. The fall guy, the family ghost. Father O'Malley clutched his stole, murmuring Hail Marys, while guests live-tweeted the meltdown. Voss Hargrove wedding gone wrong trending by the time we hit the vestibule. Outside, under the portico, the real storm broke. Lila stormed up, veil askew, shoving me against a marble pillar. You ruined everything. For what? Some petty score. Her breath was champagne sour. Eyes wild, the flip again. From bride to banshee. Ethan flanked her, phone to ear, barking at counsel. Trace it.
Now.
Dad materialized, face thunderous, pulling Lila back. Enough. Ellie. What the hell? We had a deal. No apology. Just accusation. Mom, revived with smelling salts, sobbed on Jake's shoulder. Why can't you let us be happy?
Happy.
The word ignited me. Happy? Like when you let me plead guilty to save her ass. Or when she signed my name to bury Uncle Ray's dirt. I turned to the cluster of stunned bridesmaids, Ethan's sisters included. Ask your brother about the charity donations to his Cayman slush fund. Lila's not the only thief here. Harlan Hargrove pushed through then, his presence parting the crowd like Moses. Young lady, he drawled. Southern polish over steel. That's libel. And I don't suffer fools or felons. But his eyes flickered uncertainty or calculation. My PI had dirt on him too, a 90s insider trade that should have landed him in Club Fed. The cop cars wailed in the distance, someone's 911. Probably a tipsy aunt. Jake pulled me aside, voice urgent. Ellie,
listen.
Last night, after you left, I hacked Lila's phone.
There's more.
She's pregnant. Ethan's not the father.
It's. Meaning.
The world tilted. Incestuous twist? No, Jake and Lila? Half-siblings. Sure. But. What? One night, after Mom's scare, we were drunk, fighting about you. It was a mistake. His face crumpled. She's using it to trap him, leverage for the wedding. If this blows, she aborts, or worse, pins it on me. Polarization hit like whiplash. Lila, scheming to the end, flipping Jake into her web. But me, I just nuked the nursery. As sirens neared, I made the call, not 911, but my PI. Dropped the full dossier. To the Tribune. Anonymously, the crowd scattered as uniforms arrived. Statements demanded. Lila clung to Ethan, whispering poison, but he shrugged her off. Eyes on Harlan. Dad faced me. Broken. You were supposed to be the smart one. I said. Cuff-resistant for now. That's why I stopped it. But stopping what? A marriage built on lies. Or a family teetering on truth. As they led me to a squad car for questioning, Jake slipped me a flash drive. The real proof. Against all of us. Use it or don't. The dilemma sank in. Revenge complete. But at what cost? The wedding disaster halted. Yes, but the fallout? That was just intermission. Questioning turned out to be a holding pattern in a windowless room at the 18th District Station. The kind of beige purgatory where dreams go to die. No cuffs yet, but the detective, a weary Irishman named O'Connor with a mustache like a 70s porn star, slid a styrofoam coffee my way. Miss Voss, you got a knack for timing. Audio drops mid-vows? That's movie shit. I sipped the sludge. Tasting regret. Family reunions are hell. Detective. He chuckled, but his notebook stayed open. Heard about your record. Embezzlement. Right? Clean since parole? I nodded. Eyes on the two-way mirror.
Who watched?
Lila. Plotting counters? Ethan. Lawyering up? By midnight. The Tribune's late edition hit digital. Heiress wedding crashes on fraud allegations. Groom's family implicated. My PI's work. Untraceable. Social media exploded. Ellie the Avenger trending. Memes of me as a vengeful bridesmaid with pitchforks. They released me at dawn. Charges pending but slim. Disorderly conduct. Maybe trespass if Ethan pushed. Jake waited in the lobby. Rumpled suit and red eyes. Come on. Mom's place. Truce. The drive to our childhood home in Lincoln Park was silent. Rain-slick streets reflecting neon sins. The brownstone loomed. All ivy and irony. Where I'd once baked cookies for bake sales and now baked in resentment. Inside. The family war room. Mom chain-smoking menthols despite her lungs. Dad pacing with bourbon. Lila in silk pajamas. Icily scrolling damage control. No Ethan. Rumor had it he'd decamped to the peninsula. Family jet-fueled. Ellie, Mom started. Voice frayed.
Sit.
We talk this out.
Talk.
As if words fixed felonies. I perched on the chintz sofa. Jake beside me. The flash drive burning in my pocket. Lila spoke first. Flipping to contrite. I overreacted. The babies. Complicating things. But Ethan's out. Wedding's off. Off. The understatement of the century. But her eyes calculating. Pregnant with Jake's kid? That was dynamite. Dad slammed his glass. This is on you, Eleanor. Again. The board's calling emergency meetings. Harlan Hargrove's threatening suit says we're toxic assets.
Toxic.
Both.
Kettle.
But then he softened. The patriarch crumbling. We covered for you once. Why can't you? Covered. I exploded.
Standing.
You sacrificed me. Lila's lies. Ray's payoffs. I carried it all. The room froze. Mom's cigarette dangled. Jake shifted. Lila's facade cracked. Ray was a pig. I protected us. Protected? By bleeding us dry? I pulled the drive. tossing it on the coffee table like a grenade pin. Jake gave me this. Everything, texts, transfers, the forged release. And your little incest secret? That's the cherry. Silence. Then bedlam. Mom shrieked. What secret? Jake bolted up. Ellie? No. Lila lunged for the drive, but Dad snatched it, face ashen as he plugged it into his laptop. Files bloomed, timelines of her grifts. Ethan's complicity. The pregnancy test dated 3 months back, positive. Addressed to LJ. Jake's initials. Dad's voice broke. Lila. With your brother? Flip City. Lila sobbed, collapsing into Mom's arms. It was one time. He comforted me after the scare. Ethan's sterile, tests proved it. I needed an heir for the merger. Merger. Not love. Not even lust, just legacy. Jake buried his face in hands. I told her to tell you. But she said it'd destroy us.
Destroy.
As if we weren't shrapnel already. Mom rallied. Maternal armor up. Enough. We fix this. Private, counselors, NDAs. Ellie, your share of the estate, double it.
Just.
Stay.
Stay?
The offer dangled. Poison apple. Forgiveness for fortune. But the twist gnawed Jake's eyes, pleading not for absolution, but alliance. Ellie, use it. Against Lila. She planned to pin the baby on Ethan, then divorce for half. I have proof, she texted me last week. Play along, or you're next on the frame job. Lila whipped around. Liar. He's the one who. Stop, Dad roared. The drive's glow illuminating his defeat. We're Vosses. We don't air laundry. Ellie, name your terms. Terms. Powers whisper. I could walk, expose it all, watch the empire burn, start fresh in Seattle with blood money.
Or stay.
Become the fixer, the controversial queen who saved the dynasty by slaying its dragon. Polarizing choice, hero or villain. The room hung, breaths held. I want the company, I said, voice steel. Clean slate. Lila steps down, confesses the fraud, partial, to the board. Jake and I co-CEO. And the baby? Full support.
Nos trines.
But if anyone flips, I let it hang. Lila sneered, venom returning. You?
CEO?
The ex-con barista? But Dad nodded. Weary.
Done.
For the family. Mom hugged me then, whispering, my brave girl.
Brave.
Or broken. As dawn crept through the blinds, I pocketed the drive, insurance, and stepped onto the stoop for air. Chicago stirred. Joggers. Vendors. Life unpaused. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Ethan's voicemail. You in this round.
Voss.
But wars aren't won in cathedrals. Watch your back. The threat lingered. But so did possibility. Revenge tasted bittersweet, ashes and honey. I'd stopped the disaster. Yes. But birthed a new one, a family reforged in fire. Alliances shifting like sand. Was it justice? Or just the next con? By noon, lawyers swarmed, NDAs signed in bloodless ink. Lila retreated to a spa, ironic, muttering about contingencies. Jake pulled me aside. Thank you.
But.
The drive has more. On Dad. The real estate crash? He cooked the books first. Passed it to her. Another flip.
Dad.
The architect? My architect of ruin? The polarization deepened. No innocence here. As the city hummed, I weighed the final play. Bury it. Build on bones. Or blow it sky high. The controversial heart of it. Sometimes, stopping the wedding means starting a war. 2 weeks post-meltdown. The Voss empire teetered on a knife's edge. But I held the hilt. Co-CEO title felt like a crown of thorns. Press conferences where I smiled through redemption arc questions. Board meetings where old men eyed me like a wild card. Seattle faded to a dream. I sublet my apartment sight unseen, trading rain for Lake Michigan's moody blues. Jake and I shared an office overlooking the loop, a fragile détente built on shared silences and late-night audits. Lila holed up in the brownstone nursery to be. Her pregnancy, a ticking bomb. Ultrasound showed a girl, Eleanor II. Mom cooed, but I vetoed it. No cycles unbroken on my watch.
Ethan?
Vanished to Dubai. His family's suing for breach. But Harlan Hargrove called weekly. Smart play?
Girl.
But blood's thicker. Come to the table. I hung up each time. Thicker? Try congealed. The real twist unraveled on a Tuesday. Fog rolling off the lake like regret. Jake burst into my office, face pale as printer paper.
Ellie.
The drive, you didn't see the last file. He slid his laptop over. Password cracking under my fingers. Encrypted folder, legacy, MP4. A video, timestamped 2019 pre-prison. It opened on Dad's study. Leather chairs and Scotch haze. Him and Ray, arguing low. You covered for Lila's mess with a housekeeper, Ray slurred. But this? Embezzling from the pension fund? It'll tank us. Dad's reply. Cold. Then we'll pin it right. Ellie's green. Easy mark. She idolizes Lila. It'll stick. My stomach dropped. Not Lila's idea. The seed was Dad's. He'd coached her, scripted the frame, even planted the USB in my desk. For the greater good, he said on tape. Family survives. Ray protested. She's your daughter. But Dad waved it off. Blood adapts. Jake watched me, guilt-etched. I found it hacking his emails. Thought. Maybe we let it go. Rebuild. Rebuild on what? The video looped in my mind. A noose tightening. I'd stopped the wedding. Exposed the rot. Claimed the throne, but at the core, Dad was the puppeteer, flipping us all like chess pieces. Controversial calculus. Destroy him. And the empire crumbles. Jobs lost. Mom's treatments unpaid. Spare him. And I'm complicit. The ex-con queen propping a tyrant. That night. Family dinner at the brownstone. Last chance for civility. Lila waddled in. Belly blooming. Flipping to peacemaker. Ellie. Truce. For her. She patted the bump. Mom served roast. Dad carved with steady hands. But his eyes, wary. Over wine, sparkling cider for her. I played the clip on my phone. Volume low but lethal. Forks clattered. Dad's face drained. Eleanor. That's. Out of context, I finished. Save it. I know the script. Lila gasped. Hand to mouth shock or performance. Jake stared at his plate. Mom whispered. Oh, God. The room polarized. Mom defending. He did it for us. Lila accusing Jake. You leaked it. Him silent. Me the judge. Dad stood. Voice breaking. I was desperate. The crash. It would have killed us all. You were collateral. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
The word hung, insufficient as air. But then the flip, his masterstroke. Destroy me, and the feds circle back. That pension fraud, it traces to all of us. Signatures, approvals, Lila's, Jake's internships, even your adjustments, Ellie. Checkmate. He'd woven the web wide. Expose him, implicate us. Forgive, perpetuate. The baby kicked then, Lila's wince pulling us earthward. A new generation, innocent in the crossfire. I stood, chair scraping. No dinner. No dynasty. I'm out. Grabs for purses. Please, but I walked. Into the fog. Heart a war drum. At the office, I wired the full archive to O'Connor. Anonymous tip. Pension fraud. Start with Voss Sr., then booked a flight, not Seattle, but Austin. Fresh start. Tech scene humming with no nepotism. Epilogue twist. Months later. Headline screamed, Voss empire implodes, patriarch indicted. Lila birthed a boy, named after a spite or redemption, and vanished to Europe with a settlement. Jake testified, flipping state's evidence for immunity. Now a reformed lobbyist in D.C. Mom sold the brownstone, moved to Florida, sending postcards of sunsets and silence.
Me?
Ellie Harper, consultant in Austin.
Coffee black.
Scars faded.
Did I win?
The wedding disaster stopped. Yes, Lila single. Solvent. Scheming anew, perhaps. But the revenge? It echoed. Debatable. I avenged my betrayal, but birthed orphans of empire. No one's wholly right. Dad's desperation. Lila's survival. Jake's weakness. My wrath. Happy? Tragic?
Pick your side.
In the end, as I watched longhorn sunrises, I whispered to the wind, family first?
Nah.
Me first. And for once, it stuck.